just connect the wires together and make sure you get the right wires together. I have no idea which wire is going to what, so let's see what happens.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
99 problems, but a mortgage ain't one. Hey, Chris and G and anyone else who's got a standard factory motorhome tank monitor system, which usually all suck, even when they work properly. And they usually only work properly for a few years. And then the tank sensors get all fouled up and they don't give you accurate readings. Everybody with a motorhome knows this. Even million-dollar rigs have the same sensors as little Volkswagen vans do. They're all crap. And so I looked into a much better system. Chris Travels and G, you guys had problems with your fairly new Class A. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to be installing. This is the Garnet Sea Level 2 tank monitor. These are now being put in from the factory with a lot of high-end motorhomes, and they're fairly easy to retrofit to existing motorhomes of any shape or size as well. They're actually this isn't some cheap Chinese crap. These are actually made right here in Canada. The circuit boards are made in Canada, and even the monitor itself is made in Canada. This is the new monitor. Now, this system, you can get it optional with the water pump and the water heater switches. I ordered the fully loaded model because I already have these switches on my existing monitor panel. So I want to make sure it's all integrated into one again. But it will actually give you a percentage, not just 1/3, 2/3, or quarters, or whatever it is, which barely ever work anyways. This will actually give you a percentage, 15% full, 96% full, exactly. And it will not fail once some crap gets inside the tank on the sensors, like the existing systems do. These are the sensors. They actually stick on to the outside of the tank. There is actually nothing going through the wall of the tank, like the factory ones, which clog up inside. So there is no possible way for these ones to clog up and fail on you. They're tried, tested, and true. Owners around North America who've installed these on their rigs, they just rave about them. And it turns out they're made right here in Canada from a place in Alberta, so I called them directly and ordered this, and I had it within about 3 days. So the way it works is, you don't have to rewire your whole rig. You actually use the existing wires to your existing sensors, which is a huge bonus. Except now you're not having all those little sensors, those little wires going up your tank, 3 or 4 of them from the old sensor. You just take one positive wire, that's that guy, and then ground it. And then where your existing monitor panel is, it all ties in to the new panel. These sensors stick on, like I said, and you can cut them at each one of these lines to the size of your tank. Now my black tank is only going to need the top 3 strips right there, so I'm going to be cutting it right there for the black tank. And then at the top of the strip, you see, I don't know if you can see this on the camera, there's letters at gray and black water tank. You actually cut the top of the tab off, and it tells the system that that's for the gray water tank or black water tank or whatever you like. So you really just make one cut there and then cut it to length, stick it on the tank, wire it in, you're good to go. So I'm going to do this now and then show you how it all looks when it's done. Okay. These are the old sensors, so we don't need those. So I just snip the wire to the ground, which is usually the bottom one on these sensors. That's the ground wire, and then the main power wire. The main power wire is right there. So all you need to do is connect the main power and the ground, and then attach the sensor to the actual tank. You can sand the tank if it's not a very good surface. They do recommend that you clean it down with something like acetone so that the adhesive on the new sensor sticks very well. It won't come off on you. So this is the length that I need for mine. And this is going to be for the gray water tank. So they say to tape it on the tank before you permanently install it, just to test everything. So tape it on, make sure there's no air on behind it. Yeah. And then connect up the wires. Okay. Okay, for the freshwater tank, you don't need to cut any tabs or anything. That's the default. So I can see how big my tank is here and just cut it to fit. This is definitely a lot bigger. I only have to cut off one section. So just the bottom part come off. Okay, this is going to be the worst one. The Blackwater tank. I'm going to try to adjust the camera there for you. Is under the couch and basically under the bathroom there, and it's almost impossible to get in there, so I'm gonna have to get in there with my hands best I can. I've torn the whole motorhome apart to get to the sensors and everything, and then ripped out the old monitor panel and figured out all the wiring, just testing them all to figure out how it would work. The water pump, the water heater, and click, there it is. My hot water's on, so those work, and it gives me my battery voltage. Just push that, it tells you what your battery's at. The only one I haven't got hooked up is the propane. I'm not sure which of the last two wires it is, and the only way to tell is when the propane's full. However, it's almost empty, so I got to go fill it up first and then do that. My freshwater tank is at 36%. My gray water tank is completely empty. My black water tank is full. That I kind of knew. But that's how it works, guys. Simple as that. Very cool. We're going to build a new back plate up here and get rid of my generator switch since I got the new generator. I don't need that anyways. And just make a nice new back plate for this here. A couple things to note is all that wiring looks scary, but a lot of it is redundant wires from the old panel. The old panel had, you know, water pump and hot water and a tester button to check your monitor levels all separately there, and they all had their own power going to them. So you had like 3 or 4 power leads going in. Whereas the new one, it's one common power lead fused, which supplies everything on there. And so you find one of the main powers and use that. The other ones you just cap them off, tape them off, get them out of the way because you don't need them anymore. And you don't need separate lines for the black, the gray, and the freshwater tank anymore. Now you'll have separate lines coming up to your factory monitor panel. Whatever motorhome you have, you'll have one line for the gray, one line for the black, one line for the fresh. You're actually just going to twist all those wires together into one, and they all go into one wire on the new panel. And the new panel, remember, it knows which tank when you press it because you cut off the tab on that tank. That's the freshwater sensor. I gotta go dump my shitter. And my gray is usually always empty because I leave that spout open on the cap outside, unless I'm in an area where you can't have water on the ground. So awesome! I just filled up the propane, calibrated it, and it's showing 101%. There you go. And also, I stuck the hose in and filled up the water tank. And there's actually a setting on this. You hit it twice, it'll stay on for 5 minutes, and you can watch it count up. 20%, 22, 25, 29, 30, it keeps going up. 96 is full because the top of the strip of the sensor for my freshwater tank is sticking up above the tank by just like almost 1 centimeter at the most. It was just a little bit too tall, which is fine because now when the meter gets down to 2 or 1 or 0%, you know you've got just a little bit of water left, but you know it'll just kind of encourage you, go fill up your water. The black tank, now the same is true with the black tank, just the other way around. The black tank is below the top of the tank by about 1 centimeter. And it's perfect because now when it says I'm at 100%, I still got 1 or 2 flushes before I gotta go dump my tank. So that's kind of good. It'll just give you a little kick. Oh crap, you're at 100%. You're gonna have to go first thing in the morning and dump your tank. And with the water too, you don't have to freak out. If it says 0, you still got a little bit of water left. So just conserve and get to a fill station the next day or a hose or whatever. And when I get the rain collection system in here, I'm going to be able to watch the meter rise while the water's piling in off the roof. It's going to be great. So yeah, it's all good. Everything's working. Water pump, water heater, the battery meter, the fresh, the gray, the black, and the propane. Everything is working, and that was painless. You know, it took about half a day to get this done. It was most of the hassle was just getting to the tank sensors, because with a lot of these Class Bs, the tanks are inside and underneath everything. And sure enough, everything except the gray water tank is inside on this vehicle. So it's all done. Chris, G, anyone else who's wanting to do this, this is a reliable way to read your tanks, and you don't have to worry about the sensors on the inside of the tank getting gummed up with toilet paper or whatever it is. This cannot fail because the sensor is on the outside of the tank. There you go, guys. So I'm going to be heading over to one of the Gulf Islands just for a little mini vacation with Line Screw 1 in a couple of days. So if we don't get this panel finished off, you know, to make it look all pretty by then, I'll show it to you soon in an upcoming video. My buddy is going to build a nice faceplate for it right here. It'll look all professional and pretty. After a day of hard work, this is what we do in Canada.
Okay.
KFC delivery.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Oh yeah. Thank you, Colonel.
Keep on rocking in the free world.
Freedom is sexy. JustIncredible.tv.
Stick up for freedom.
Choose your freedom sticker now.
JustIncredible.net.